Brother, oh baby, no, that's what brother, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. Brother, heaven is a place on earth.
Brother, what's that, brother? What's that, brother?
Man, that meme has had the ultimate staying power. I think now, like, you see memes that go up and within 24 hours, you're like, oh, that's old news. I'm so tired of that. That thing has been around for like a month and I still love it.
Got absolute legs.
Were you a brother oohing your girlfriend?
Oh, man, I have this really horrendous...
That sounds awful. Sorry, go on.
I have this really horrendous... It does sound awful. Yeah, I have this really horrendous habit of like getting a saying stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And then, I can't get it out of my head. And she seems to always be collateral damage in all this. So it's like...
Poor thing.
Yeah, so I was saying at home for a long time, or the other day for the whole day, brother, brother, what's that? Brother,
I think that's an ADHD thing. I've heard that. I've been told off that.
Oh.
If people start talking about like singing songs and you like automatically start singing them as well, it's like this.
Oh, really? Because
yeah.
all I do is walk around the house when I'm by myself all day, just singing the same thing over and over and over and
Brother,
over and over again.
when you start singing a song when we're doing, I have that song on replay.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, and then you'll sing a new song. That'll be the rest of my day.
All right.
And then you sing, yeah.
Well, I've got enough going on in my life, so I don't need to go and get diagnosed with that. Let's just keep living blindly.
Can I start Coffee Break off by saying a little tribute to, what was his name? Bernard Hill, who played Theoden King in Lord of the Rings. And he was the guy who said, Gondor calls for aid. And then they come in and say, or he says, and Rohan shall answer. R.I.P. R.I.P. He's left us, and that was an all-time quote.
He's passed away.
He's passed away.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's sad, but everything else that you just talked about is nonsense because Lord of the Rings is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to cinema. Do you guys like Lord of the Rings?
Well, let me just start by saying this. A study was recently conducted where they actually performed lobotomies on people who had sadly passed. And there was a part of the brain that had shrunk on participants who had said they didn't like Lord of the Rings.
I believe that's the section of the brain for dumbness.
No, it's for smartness.
No. No, but honestly, like that can't. I mean, look, I'm someone whose name is Rohan, the writers of Rohan, and
so you should get behind the cause.
Oh, I can't. I've tried to watch it 3 times, and I can't help but fall asleep like an hour in. It is so dry. It is so dull.
I'm shook.
How
As someone
do you-
who loves a story and like a
What story?
I know it like kind of goes on. They're long. They're amazing. But they're the classic fable of like all mythical fairy tale.
Nothing could send me to...
I just, to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Well, to be honest, there's always been this weird thing that I found. Like I want to like it. Like I want to be like, great, get into this world, into this universe. Same thing with Star Wars. I'm going like, I could really like Star Wars. Like I could look at those like light swords and like obviously I know they're called lightsabers, but when I'm a kid looking at it going like, I really want to love all this cool stuff. And then I just watch it and I'm like, I just don't enjoy this.
And this is hurting. This is really hurting because I will say,
I want to love it.
Well, Disney owned Star Wars, so Star Wars post George Lucas, and when Disney started to own it, like sometimes I watch it and I mourn. I'm mourning the old Star Wars. I'm thinking, geez, my childhood's just coming. Force Awakens wasn't too bad. I'm like, yeah, it's just a New Hope light, acceptable movie.
Yeah.
6 out of 10. But then The Last Jedi came along, and I'm thinking, I want fucking answers. This is deplorable. Then Rise of Skywalker came out, and I'm just like, oh.
That scene where what's her name passed away, and she's in space.
Oh, Leia.
Yeah, Leia, and then she like floats herself.
Oh, that sounds like the best scene in the film.
No, it was like I started laughing.
Oh,
when
it's
I saw it. But as a Star Wars lover, Mandalorian, the series that have come out, I think they've really kind of like captured the old school kind of.
Yes, but season 3 didn't hit for me. Season 2 was amazing. I was like, oh my gosh. And then Book of Boba was an abomination. It was awful. Ahsoka, okay. Andor I actually really liked.
I think I'm behind.
Obi-Wan Kenobi series, very
feel
average until the Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan fight at the end. No,
I can feel my mind just slowly dying listening.
Okay,
to
well
this.
let's talk about the podcast then.
Absolutely. I was going to say, welcome back to another episode of a coffee break with the boys from It's Just Coffee.
It's just coffee.
It's just coffee.
We're going to chat about our episode today. We unpacked all the famous personalities who just think, you know what, I got a bit of cash. I'm going to open a coffee company. And so we're looking at Emma Chamberlain. We're looking at some boys from through the basketball, everything. I had a few takeaways from kind of what I learned is there's too many people that think they can do coffee. And also it just made me think, like, you kept on saying, like, is it good for coffee? Is it bad for coffee? I think coffee should be defined because there's coffee here in Melbourne and Australia, and there's coffee in the rest of the world and going on. They're very two different, like they're just so different overall. So I kind of want to pose that to you two, like switching the conversation from like, are they good for the coffee here in Australia to like, is it good for fake coffee in US? Is that big to say?
But I don't think, as we talked about on the pod with like Jimmy Buckets, like he's doing it right. He's making proper lots. He's like making proper espresso, proper filter coffee, that kind of thing. He's got the Lamazocco. He's doing it. That was maybe my argument with Chamberlain, that hers is maybe more, aimed towards the dump coffee in a vat of milk and add some pumps to it. But I'm not throwing like America or anyone under the bus in that sense. I know America, I've lived there. There are places doing great coffee, and that world is booming. They have some of the biggest names in coffee kind of coming out of there. Lance and Morgan Drinks Coffee, both two Americans that are like really pushing the specialty coffee game forward. So I just think it's the type of coffee that's being produced, right?
One thing that does concern me about it, I guess I probably didn't mention on the podcast, and I guess.
Oh, well, this isn't after. This is an editor's cut.
I kind of wish I did, but it's just as good that people listen to this and can hear it here. But one thing that concerns me is that kind of like a larger problem in all of society is the concentration of wealth. So I kind of feel like the small coffee shop, we're headed into troubled economic times across the world. Yeah. And I think coffee shops will be very affected by it because people have to make the choice, do I have an instant at home or do I go out and get a latte? And the after effect of that could be that, you could see your Starbucks, you could see certain chains in Australia, you could see certain chains everywhere kind of take have more dominance, and the capital required to get into the industry will be so enormous that like the neighborhood coffee shop could be few and far between.
Well, they have the buying capability where people just can't compete with it because they're buying so much. They get such a discount on the product. They're using lower quality product. Like it's impossible to compete with those bigger names. I think the whole hospitality industry is in for a big market crash. Like, this is the big short. Like we're all sitting on the sidelines going, why is no one talking about this? Like coffee shops and hospo places just going down left and right.
And one thing that sort of saddens me about this is like, we were talking about phones before, and like say for example, an elder person wants to go to, an Optus, like an Optus or a Telstra branch, which is our version of whatever you've got in America. What's an American telco?
They'd have a T-Mobile, they'd have a Sprint, Verizon,
whatever. And so like if you want to go to a branch these days, they more often than not just tell you to go online or something like that. Yeah. And then you don't have a choice because, how can you, with Uber, you're trying to dispute whatever it is that, someone's charged you when they shouldn't have, your food didn't arrive or whatever. There's no appeals process really. You just shove to the back of a queue. And where I'm going with all this, if you've got the concentration of wealth, power, market share all with one people, it's a bad thing for consumers. Yeah. So, and where this leads into the topic of today is like, if only people like this can afford to get into the space and kind of exploit it, that could probably be a bad thing.
Yeah. And that was kind of probably a more eloquent version of kind of what I was saying towards the end, where I was like, I feel like it can pull away. It's probably a bit deeper than what I was saying, but it can probably take away from those local smaller roasters who are putting in so much effort. The team, like guys we work with over at Rumble, like the amount of time that they put into like sustainability, tracing, sourcing, like all of those things, they're putting in the hard yards to make sure they're serving up a really great quality coffee.
I feel like that's an episode on its own, just down the road, like the economics of coffee. We should definitely
those guys, we can get the Rumble guys on there.
Well, yeah, and get some and take a really, microeconomic view of the industry as a whole. I think would be a very interesting podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of in-depth analysis with a couple of two idiots just talking crap over it. The perfect balance.
One of us might have done a few units of economics at university. But
there you go. Not just journalism, a bit of economics.
Yeah, no,
I definitely didn't do that. Economics has always been my downfall. Hey, one thing that I wanted to talk about, live events. I want to do a live event.
Yeah?
Yeah. I want to do it. I mean, I'm heading to Italy June 8th, so it probably won't happen then. But maybe when I get back, maybe we start looking at setting up a live event. Would we do it here? Would we do it at your shop?
Oh, I mean, for the crowd, we're going to draw. I don't know if my shop's big enough, to be honest. But,
the big crowd.
But we'll find somewhere cool and do something. I'd like a town hall style meeting at one point. Do something really cool where it's really fun for the audience. Give away some prizes or whatever.
Yeah, we'd have to. You could team up some roasters, get some amazing coffees down there for people to try out. I think we could have we have a bunch of like really good connections. Try to get La Mazzocca to give away a free machine. No, they probably won't do that, but we can try.
Yeah, we'll see.
I did try to work my magic this week. We were chatting. I listened to a podcast called Fake Doctors, Real Friends, which is Zach Braff and Donald Faison from Scrubs. They do a Scrubs rewatch podcast from during COVID. Yeah. And I loved it. It was my first like TV series I watched as a kid. Absolutely loved it. So during COVID, when we were all stuck in, I was like, oh my God, I just get to listen to these two guys who are like best friends, just talk crap. And it was amazing. But anyway, they started talking about coffee on their latest episode. And Zach was saying how he wanted a machine. DJ Daniel, the producer, was chatting about how he was like 18 grams of coffee, WDT it, do all this. So he was really nerding out over it. So I messaged and I was like, La Mazzocca, you should send Zach a machine and I'll go over and teach him. Don't think that's happening, but I did reach out to DJ Daniel, the producer, and he said he would love to come on the pod. So we need to get him on shortly as well.
Yeah, I'd love to get... have you ever followed, we were talking about it before, Black Rifle Coffee in the US?
No.
So Black Rifle Coffee, I think, was started by a guy called Evan Hafer, and basically the aim of it is to improve the lives of veterans who have served overseas, so fought at war and whatnot. But I kind of like the idea of them doing that, and you mentioned one on the podcast earlier, and their coffees actually, their business has grown quite a lot, and they're very popular. Seen on Joe Rogan podcast as well.
Oh, there you go. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, so he was telling a story on something I was listening to about how he went hunting with Evan Hafer, and then he pulled out someone tried to get him to use tissues for a filter paper, and he was like, no. Then he went to great lengths to make a coffee. Or words to that effect.
Yeah, amazing. I
respect that.
Tissue filter paper. I need to try that out. That's a good one.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. I don't know if I should even tell this here because it's kind of like a funny video. I don't want to give anything away, but we were like talking about the ridiculousness of stuff. And my business partner, Sonam, basically, whenever you see stupid videos on our channel, that's me having to drink something disgusting, you can guarantee it is my business partner, Sonam Sherpa, making us do that. And the latest one that he's got out, he's like, wouldn't it be really cool if we made a V60 coffee from the Yarra River, from the water in the Yarra River?
Sounds like a health hazard, actually.
Yeah, no, I think you would die. But now we've actually been like in some contact with some people. We've been chatting with Life Straw. You know that straw that they use for like third world countries where you can like drink water out of like a dirty puddle. Like you can go up with this straw, stick it into like dirty, muddy water, suck it up, and it like filters it as you suck through the straw.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. If it's true.
So it's that company, and they're like, man, we got some filters we can hook you up with. They're like super keen. I'm like, I'm still terrified. My girlfriend is like, Rohan, you are not drinking water from the Yarra River. You will die. You will get some disease and you will die.
And the Yarra River is the one that flows directly through the city of Melbourne for those.
Yeah, and it is disgusting. It is like truly atrocious. So that first clip at the start of the TikTok or the reel of me scooping water out of the Yarra River is going to be a real thumb stopper.
Yeah, well, I mean, no thanks for me.
Yeah. One other thing that I thought was cool that happened this week was, and I didn't expect this to go as crazy as it did, Mikhail, world barista champion, he actually did a combination in his milk drink for his routine where he mixed dairy with cashew and oat milk to make his milk-based drink in the competition, and people loved it. I know that Jack also did coconut and dairy, or coconut and lactose free?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, like 10% coconut, just that little bit of sweetness. But we thought it was cool, and we were like, let's give it a go. We don't have cashew, but we have macadamia. So we did a video on it, and just like 48 hours, it's at like 1.2 million views or something like that, and people getting crazy behind it or super interested.
How did it taste?
That's amazing.
How did it taste?
It was great. It was fantastic. It had the kind of sweetness from the lactose and all that kind of stuff. You had the maltiness from the oat, and then you had that kind of nutty finish from the macadamia that gives it that kind of cookie cake kind of flavor. So kind of made the dessert the coffee quite dessert-like. And with the regular coffee, it was good, but it started making me think of your coffees where you have some of those like, your peach or your cinnamon or like those kind of coffees, or you did the strawberry one, right? Strawberries and cream. Yeah. Like that strawberries and cream with this combo would be insane. It'd be like, it's already a dessert, but I thought it was pretty good. And it just made me think about, I think we spoke about this. It might have been my hot take a few weeks ago where I was like, about getting rid of all the alternative milks and trying to just make one that's a combination of a few. I know there's eating allergies and things that come into play there, but I do think that the future of alternative milk is finding a combination of things, right? Because it makes no sense. Who decided that, no, it's only almond. All you're doing is almond water. No, it's only oats. It makes sense if we're kind of going in there and working out what the best mix and flavor profile is going to be, because you know what? Dairy has a distinct flavor that goes with the coffee. Why why try to always match that? Why maybe look at something else that could work in a better way?
This has got me onto what I do pretty much every day at the shop, is make myself an oat hot chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Because the oat milk has this finish to it that's like really nice, and oat milk in general can be quite creamy when you texture it.
Which one do you use?
Which chocolate or which oat milk?
Which oat milk?
Oat milk is Oatly at the moment.
Oatly. Have you done Califia?
Califia is good, but I'm an Oatly guy. And then hunted and gathered hot chocolate. I don't know if you guys have had that 60% hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never really delved deep into the hot chocolate game, but a bit of 60% hot chocolate from hunted and gathered. They get it specifically from the Dominican Republic, the cocoa. Yep. Awesome.
How are you making hot chocolates at your place?
We have an exact amount that we dose out into a little tub. Then we put it in the milk and then steam it with the milk. If you make a sauce, if you go to a cafe and they're using the sauce hot chocolate, it will not be as good. You got to steam it, give it a little whisk in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always find that thing with hot chocolate. Your hot chocolate tastes great. You're a big fan?
Oh, come try it for yourself.
Okay, I need to come and try it, because I always find that hot chocolates in general from cafes are like super disappointing.
I think people are onto ours. They're like, this place does really good hot chocolates, and we're doing well.
Because I think it's a market like for what people want. I remember there was this place like near where I used to grow up called Chocolat or something, but they did like the shaved lint. Like shaved lint chocolate, like into the hot chocolate. And it was just like, there was no other hot chocolate like it. And I was like, I know this is bad for you, but I'm like, if I'm getting a hot chocolate, I know it's bad for me. Like, just make it good. Like so many of the ones where it's just like the pre-mixed sugar cocoa thing thrown in a cup. It's always like so weak. It's not that chocolatey. There's no depth. It's just kind of like a slightly sweet milk, and not into it. But I'm going to come down.
Oh man, hot chocolate's great.
Next week, I will have a review of, what's the name of your cafe again?
Project Zero Coffee.
Oh, Project Zero Coffee. It's a really great cafe. You should check it out. Project Zero Coffee. I will have a review back for you. And I'm not going to I don't care about Kirk. I haven't got nothing to protect here. I'm going to go as hard as I want on Kirk's hot chocolate.
Oh, well, it'll actually be pretty good. You're not going to have many bad things to say.
Yeah, I'm sure I won't.
So,
He's confident.
I am confident.
And then I wanted to ask you, who have you got? You got any ideas for future guests coming up? Like, who are we thinking? I want to hear from like people as well. Like, let us know. We'll start doing some international ones. So if there's anyone, send us an email. We got
to try and lobby the Australian barista champion Jack Simpson.
Simpson, you heard it here first. Jack Simpson, we're getting him on the pod.
One more time, where can they get in contact with us?
Oh, they can get in contact with us at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com.
Thank you very much. Back to Jack Simpson.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd love to have Jack on, reigning Australian Barista Champion. Very narrowly, as we all know, missed out on the World Barista Championship. There's a great video you can go watch on YouTube of that. But I would love to talk to him and get his insights.
Yeah, I would love to talk to Jack. I'd love to talk to past Barista Champion as well, Anthony Douglas.
Oh yeah, Anthony, that would also be good.
Yep. So maybe there's a good like back-to-back thing if they have the time where it can like we can talk about the two experiences and the two different like ways that it's kind of seen. That could be really cool.
It could. I mean, obviously it'd be awesome to have Jimmy. Imagine if that did happen.
Buckets?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be amazing. We've got to get him. I think as well, I want to put it out here. Hoffman. I think we can get Daddy Hoffman on the pod.
Ooh.
We're early on in our podcast journey here. We're starting quite young. I'm going to say, I know that we've got the longevity and we're going to be making these things for a very long time. So maybe we need to put it on the whiteboard. Do you guys do that? Do you whiteboard where you just put down the things that you have to do?
I think I've always wanted to.
You're a whiteboard guy?
I don't. I have a brain whiteboard. I don't have an actual whiteboard. I mean, there's one right there, but Hoffman, what would you say? What would you reckon? Like, do we make a goal that by episode 50, episode 100, we have him on as the special guest for episode like 100? Or
Have to,
because 100, we're doing 2 a week, so 100's only a year.
But having done the Sub-Zero Coffee podcast before this, the biggest name doesn't always make the best podcast, and like
I don't care about the best podcast. I just think what a great I just think he'd be someone amazing to have on.
Oh yeah, of course, and by that note as well, like someone like Lance as well.
Yeah,
be awesome to have Lance on. The podcast we did with Dan Dick and Ross Quayle, that was so good.
Yeah.
I just love getting those big personalities on, and
I think that Dan and like that, they're guys that we can get back probably time and time again, just to keep coming back with their insights. Dan obviously running a roastery or a coffee wholesale and running his cafes there. He's got Nigel cafes. He's just someone that constantly has more and more information coming through and has a lot of thoughts on the coffee industry.
Saw him this morning, actually.
Oh, how is he?
Yeah, he's good. He's
a sweetheart. He's just he's on his TikTok journey. He's sending me some messages because he's trying to do some stream of consciousness stuff, and it's great. Just where he like gets in the car after having a thought kind of thing. It's all impromptu. He just sets up the camera and just kind of like goes at it for like a minute or whatever. But I think they're great, and I think the only way you get better at those things is just doing it over and over and over and over again and seeing what kind of resonates and learning. But,
another one would be Charles Sonnen, who is a former UFC fighter, now commentator, and he is so funny. He was the ultimate trash talker ever. He's so good. But he's got this thing called Bad Guy Coffee. I don't think he has a coffee business or anything like that, but he's just a bad guy, and he calls it Bad Guy Coffee Company.
Wait, so he doesn't have a coffee company, but he has a coffee company?
He's got these shirts or a sign that says Bad Guy Coffee Co.
Oh, right. I was a bit confused.
No, I'm with you.
But yeah, I'd love to have Chael on. Uncle Chael.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of anyone else. That's kind of like running me dry, but yeah.
Completely separate. Well, not really. On the fighting world, I know you're a UFC fan, Kirky, but what's your thoughts on the Mike Tyson and
I get them confused. Is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? Jake Paul.
Logan Paul's the taller brother.
It's a disgrace that the fight's even happening. Someone who's just about 60 years old and is going to fight someone who's, a cruiserweight. So he's not like a light guy. He's a cruiserweight. So he's, heavy. But my thoughts are, I'm praying for a Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul.
So I don't know, I've been watching Tyson's like training videos and everything's like doing how hard is it for him? Because I don't really watch boxing. I just feel like if Tyson just gets like one clean hook, like it's over, it's done.
Yeah, but he's also 57.
Yeah. He looked fast.
Oh yeah, he looks great, and he's in good shape for someone his age. But he's fighting a 28-year-old man or whatever he is, who's not a small guy, and who's knocked people out in the ring before.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a bit of a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul too. It's like, okay, you seem like a dick if you fight this guy and hurt him, and you also seem like an absolute idiot if you fight to him and lose to him. So
do we think that there's anything going on behind the scenes of those fights with do we think it's all legit and they're just fighting, or do we think there's a script?
Well, the twist at the moment is that before it was just going to be a what do they call it, like a showcase fight, like I've forgotten the
exhibition
match. Yeah, exactly. But then Jake offended Mike's daughter and he pulled out of the exhibition match and has now put it into a real match. So the difference being an exhibition match doesn't actually affect your official record. So, there was nothing much to lose for Mike, but now Mike's like, nah, I want to, and with the exhibition match, it means that he's probably going to pull his punches. They'll just do it for kind of show.
But even this sounds scripted. Is that part of it?
You're right. You're right.
But
now we're going to get more viewers because now it's actually going on a tally and all they care about is zeros just getting added to the check.
But Mike Tyson's just an animal. So, I mean, go Mike.
Yeah, go Mike. Oh, it'd be, and I mean, but that's, if you're also like Jake Paul and you know that half the internet despises you, you're like, well, if I'm going to get paid a couple more zeros on the top for just copping a right hook, a haymaker or whatever from Mike Tyson, then line me up. I reckon I'd probably die if I got a haymaker from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, you wouldn't be well.
Yeah. But I reckon other people like who he's fighting are like, they're built and they're muscular enough. There's probably enough muscles in their neck. If I got punched in the face by him, my head would probably spin around 360 cartoon style.
Yeah, dislocate your neck.
Yeah.
Thereby killing you.
Yeah, exactly. So Mike Tyson, we'd love you on the pod. That's my go-to guest. Hoffman, you're off. Tyson, you're on.
No, to bring it back to Hoffman, I'm so in. Let's do this.
Let's make that go.
Yeah.
And we actually have I can't mention to you, we got a surprise celebrity guest barista on, I think next week. So,
next week.
Yeah. So
This is news to me.
This is called a little bit of sizzle. That is news to me as well.
Very big surprise. International superstar barista will be on the It's Just Coffee podcast very soon.
God.
Brother,
baby, you know that's what. Brother, heaven is a place on earth.
Yeah, but I'd say strap yourselves in for that one.
All right, guys, make sure, send us an email if you want. If you want to ask any questions, if you want to say anything in the pod, hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. Follow us on all the socials. Make sure to subscribe. Leave us a nice review.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. There's a link there to listen to the podcast on whatever medium you choose.
Yeah, you can watch us live on YouTube if you want to see our handsome faces instead. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to be that YouTuber. Just hits that like and subscribe. Honk that bell button.
Honk. But actually like and comment on it. It helps us a bunch.
Yeah, I love hearing your feedback. We'll try to get back to as many of you as we can. I've definitely, on my Golden Brown, it's hard to try to keep up with the comments, but I'm making the effort with It's Just Coffee. This is the new baby. I'm going to be in those comment sections. I'm going to be answering. You're going to be in there with your Nokia 3210 playing Snake, you idiot.
I'm getting on the Nokia.
Idiot, okay, well, sorry. I know we're just finishing up, but I just want to talk about this idiot right here. We've just started up one of the greatest coffee podcasts to ever be created, if not one of the best podcasts ever to be created. Mm-hmm. It's a social game, right? We've got to be on the channels. We've got to be on it. This idiot comes in this morning and just hits me with I think I'm getting a Nokia. I think I'm going to buy a Nokia.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great gotcha line there, Rohan. But, I was thinking about it. How much better was life before all the smartphone stuff?
Well, don't start a coffee podcast if you don't want to be using these platforms.
Yeah, but here's my thing. Here's my plan, though. I use the Nokia as my day-to-day phone. My iPhone then becomes an iPod Touch. So, if I need to do anything, I can. But
so what's the distinction there? What's the site? So you're still going to use internet on your iPhone, but you're just not going to get calls or messages.
Yeah, well, I mean, you take a look at, if you're at work or doing things out in society, it's like, well, I want to just reduce my screen time. I feel I don't want to see the news all the time because there's always news and it's more than often.
Mate, Apple literally has a setting where you can set the amount of screen time you're allowed to have and it limits what you can do.
Oh yeah, but
I'd rather just buy an old phone and waddle around with that.
I think you should double down. I think you should go deeper into tech and get a Apple Watch and leave your phone so then you still got
what do you mean? He's just. I reckon you should get one of the Elon Musk implants and just be just constantly in podcast land.
I miss playing Snake anyway, so here we go. Let's see if I actually do it.
All right, thank you for tuning in. As always, it's coffee break.
It's coffee break.
No, it's just
all
coffee.
Through my coffee break time, I say a little prayer for you. forever and ever. You stay in my heart and I will. Yeah, I forget the words too.
All right.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Ugh.